My 5 predictions for the next 5 years. I'm curious if A, you agree with my predictions, and B, what predictions do you have in the economy and with co-living and real estate for the next 5 years? Let's go check them out. What's up, everybody? I want to share with you a few predictions that I have for the next 5 years. Of course, these are just things that I've thought about as I've researched. One of my hobbies is to research macroeconomics. One of the things that's really fascinating is that everything kind of operates in these patterns. Actually, one of my mentors says that all of life is pattern recognition. And so some of these things are just things that I've thought about, that I've recognized, hey, I want to look ahead and to see, and I want to look ahead by looking in the past to see what are the patterns that are coming down the pipeline that we can be aware of, because I do believe that history repeats itself. It's just different names, it's different faces, and I believe that it looks a little different, but ultimately the big patterns of history stay the same. Now that's bad news in one way, and it's good news in another way, because it means we can sort of, not predict, but we can sort of have an idea of what the future will hold. So I don't know whether I'm right or not, but I'm gonna dive into the 5 predictions. Actually, I have 8 here for you that will happen in the next 5 years. Number 1 is that the United States of America will be in a hot war. I believe that in the next 5 years, we will not just be at war by sending people money and weapons and things like that, like we are right now on April 25th, 2024. Just, signed 95 billion, some for Israel and some for Ukraine and a bunch of money for who knows who, right? American soldiers will be fighting somewhere with guns firing back and forth at each other. God knows what else. I just believe that because we've had such a time of peace and our enemies are emboldened, and America doesn't have the exact same clout that it used to. And we're just kind of on this cycle where there are some people in the world that want to change the world order a little bit. The truth is America has what it has off the backs of other people. And I know that's not a really popular thing to say, but we have what we have because we are able to outsource our labor to cheaper places. We are able to have the largest military in the entire world. And the military, we can kind of get people to do what we want to do. Now, it's not happening right now. Some people are a little mad at that. But for a while, we came out as the dominant player out of World War II. And right now that's being challenged. And I believe that's being challenged again. And so we're going to find out what ends up happening with that. But I believe we will have to fight for that. Well, that's prediction number 1. Let's see if that happens in the next 5 years. Number 2, PadSplit, the tech company that is leading the charge in the co-living space, will be larger than Airbnb, at least in the United States. Now, PadSplit is not worldwide. It's just in the US right now. But I believe that they will be a larger company by market cap than Airbnb in the United States. And I believe that because I believe PadSplit is leading the charge on something that's needed, and Airbnb is leading the charge on something that's very nice to have, which are these great Airbnbs that we all get to stay in on the lake, wherever it is. And I believe regulation for Airbnbs is drastically increasing, making it harder and harder. And I think investors are starting just now in 2024 to shy away from them and go towards alternative strategies. I believe the number 1 alternative strategy will become PadSplit or co-living in general as an asset class. But as a company, I want to make the prediction that PadSplit will be larger than Airbnb is, at least in the United States. Number 3, I want to predict that regulation will get insanely more favorable than it is right now for co-living and more unrelated people living together under the same roof. We just saw Colorado pass a bill, literally goes into effect July 1, 2024, that makes it illegal for any local jurisdiction to restrict the number of people that are living under one roof. They say, hey, if they're all adults and they get along and they want to live in a house, they should be able to live in a house. And by the way, I also think that should be a right. I don't think you should be able to tell me who I can live with and who I can't live with. If I want to live with 8 people and they're all under the same roof and we get along, I should be able to live with them because we have something in America called the freedom of association. If that's my family, that's my family, right? I might not be related to them, but they're my family. And so I'm super excited about those regulations coming. I also would like to predict that short-term rental, Airbnb regulations will continue to increase. They will continue to make it harder. We're seeing that in Asheville right now. Asheville, North Carolina, popular tourist town. Many Americans have stayed there or come through that town where the Biltmore is, one of the largest privately owned houses in America. And I think we're seeing regulations start to increase and then start to ban it in cities that previously I never would have thought that would have banned it. It's really, 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 really fascinating. So that's my number 3 prediction. All states will adopt something similar to what Colorado did and what Washington has already done in making co-living even more available, even more legal, so that it doesn't have to operate in a gray area. It can operate wide out in the open. 4th prediction, inflation will continue to go up. I see no way around this, guys. Inflation, government's got to print money. Our debt is getting more expensive, and we're adding $1 trillion of debt by a lot of reasonable sources every 100 days. We have to continue to print money to finance our wars, to fight our enemies, to try to look and be stronger. That does have a time limit, though, if people stop trusting the American dollar and the American system, which there's already some cracks in that system. We'll see where that goes. But I believe inflation will continue to get worse and worse and worse. And what that will mean is that the gap between the rich and the poor gets greater. And unfortunately, that means more distrust of wealthy people. Unfortunately, that means, hey, we have a system. It used to work for a lot of people, and now it only works for a select few group of rich people. And I believe it's going to be the wealthy people's responsibility to try to bring us, it's going to be all of our responsibility to bring the economy and bring our world back together again. I want to read you something that was just written by someone in Russia. And I share this with you. Hopefully it's a sobering reality, but I want to read it to you because I think it highlights what could happen in America if we don't take these things very seriously. So see, America just passed a $95 billion aid package, some for Ukraine and some for Israel. And somebody asked a close confidant of President Vladimir Putin, he said, hey, what do you think of this new aid package? And here is what he responded. He said, I can't help but wish the USA, with all sincerity, to dive into a new civil war themselves as quickly as possible. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Medvedev. Medvedev. That's my best try. Medvedev wrote, which I hope will be very different from the war between the North and the South in the 19th century and will be waged using aircraft, tanks, artillery, MLRS, which is multi-rocket launchers, all types of missiles and other weapons, and which will finally lead to the inglorious collapse of the vile, evil empire of the 21st century, the United States of America. I don't normally read stuff like that. I feel like, Facebook and the algorithms usually put very positive things about America in front of me. But I think that's important to realize because we are going to have to come together. And this is a little bit of a tangent for this video. I'm making predictions, but I do believe America will be stronger together. And I do believe that we will, if we take it to heart, come together to serve each other. It's just going to be a little rough ride. So inflation will rise dramatically from where we're sitting today. Number 5, this is more of a general prediction that hard times are coming. I do not believe it will get easier and easier from here. I believe for real estate investors, for investors in general, I believe it will be harder and harder moving forward. I believe that we are going into a season of winter, not a season of fall where you reap, or a season of summer or spring where you plant. I believe this will be a season of difficulty economically, militarily, and then emotionally and spiritually for the United States. I believe that it will only get worse over the next 5 years than it will right now. And I believe good times are on the other end of that. Sometimes you got to go through bad times to get to good times, and we all know that. All right, I got a couple bonus predictions in here. Number 6, taxes will go up. A lot. I believe property taxes will go up. I believe income taxes will go up. I believe some of the amazing benefits that we've received as real estate investors will get taken away. I believe they will get taken away because they will have to by popular demand, because people will start to understand that just the people who own real estate and who own property are not allowed to be. We can't go back to a barren type system back where, the only people that were allowed to vote were the people with property. We can't do that. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of popular demand and pressure for taxes to increase, especially on the wealthy, especially on the rich. And so I would like to make a prediction. I don't care if Trump earns the presidency or wins the presidency this time. Taxes are going to have to go up in the next 5 years. Number 7, the people who own a lot of 30-year mortgages will win big. And what do I mean by this? I believe that will be one of the best products, because I believe the value of the US dollar will decline. And therefore, if you own a 30-year mortgage, you're paying off a 30-year mortgage with dollars that are worth less in 30 years from now, or in 5 years from now. I guess these are 5-year predictions, so I got to stay with 5 years. And I believe that anybody that's on an adjustable rate mortgage will end up readjusting that mortgage at a much, much higher rate. And last but not least, I believe as it stands right now, everybody's been talking about interest rate cuts, interest rates will come down, refinance, buy now, refinance when interest rates come down. I'd like to make a prediction that interest rates will not come down by more than 25 basis points. They might come down by 25 basis points, but if anything, after that, they will continue to rise as we try to protect our dollar, as we try to make good decisions, which I believe is a good decision, to make our dollar stand as the strongest currency in America. We will see where that goes. Those are my 5 plus 3, so a total of 8 predictions for the next 5 years. I'm curious. Do you agree with them? Do you agree with 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them? Am I completely way off on this? What are your predictions for the next 5 years that you believe will come true? I really wish everybody the best to your success as we navigate this next season of real estate investing and as being an American. God bless you.